just have the mic back there. Thanks.
So that means anytime you're irritated, so you're standing in line and there's 5 people ahead of you,
And you're irritated.
Feel irritated. There's an addiction that's not being met.
Exactly.
So they're the things that we don't.
So let's use the example. We're standing in line, 5 people, and what do we start doing? We go, they haven't got enough people serving. Don't we? So what are we starting to do straight away? We're blaming another person for the irritation that's been created, not understanding that our very soul placed us in the location 5 people down the line waiting for somebody to come and serve us. And our very soul put us there, so our very soul must need to heal something here to put us there. So there's something inside of my condition that's drawn me to this situation and circumstance. And instead of going, what's inside my condition? I'm annoyed or I'm irritated. What am I irritated about? I'm not being served. Why am I irritated about not being served? What fear do I have here, or what grief do I have here that I'm covering over with this addiction that I want service right now? This is a big problem in America, by the way. You are so used to getting served very well that when you go to another country, what happens? You often get very annoyed, yes, because it's not the same level of service.
Even different parts of the country. Like
Exactly.
If you're north and you go down south and they're a little slower.
No, a bit more related back.
Yeah, and you're like, what
is going on?
Yeah.
And then what we do is we start projecting this outwards, which is a very unloving act now. Now we're starting to project our anger to a person, to the service people, and to be honest, if somebody was angry with you, would you serve them? Well, I don't know if I would. So how can you expect to get served by being more angry? You really can't, can you? And of course that's going to have its own compensatory effects upon your soul the instant you start creating this. And there's all there to actually help us to get to the fear and the grief that's underneath our fear. That's what the whole event is happening for, to help us to get to those particular emotions. But what we do instead with it is we go, oh, no, this is not my fault. This is the owner of this, I guarantee tonight some of you are going to get into addiction with our meal. Right? Because when 40-something people rock up to a restaurant all ordering the same kind of food or similar types of food, there's bound to be a problem coming up that our soul attracts, yes. And sooner or later that event will trigger something emotionally. And what we do is many of us will go, even after this discussion, we'll go into there, which is really into these feelings, right? Many of you will notice that and you're going, okay, what's this all about? Now, what it can be about is quite simple. It could be just this feeling that I have inside of myself that I should get my needs met whenever I want them met. Now, many of us have been taught that we should get everything we want when we want it. Many of us bring up our own children to do that. And we create little monsters rather than little children, because they are all walking around with these huge expectations that where's my iPad and where's my iPhone and where's my, all these addictions are all present because we keep giving and feeding them. We keep giving everybody what they want, right? God doesn't give you everything you want. Have you noticed that? I wonder why he doesn't give you everything you want.
Thank goodness he doesn't give us everything we want.
Now, he has the potential to give you everything you want. So there must be a reason why he's not doing it. And it can only be a reason to do with a lack of love inside of ourselves. So when we notice this happening, we need to see that there's an addiction in play. And once we can see there's an addiction in play, then we have this ability to start looking at what is underneath the addiction. The way you do that, though, is not intellectually. So what a lot of people do is they go, okay, I'm irritated. Why am I irritated? I don't like feeling irritated. I'll just put a smile on my face and go, how you doing? Would you please be able to serve me soon? Like, instead of actually deal with the emotion, right? We try to act our way. And I say act purposely because that's what we're really doing. We're acting differently to how we feel. How we feel is, give me that bloody food right now. That's how we feel, right? But we're not acting that way because it's not appropriate. It's not acceptable to society to act that way. So what do we do instead? We just put on our pretty face while all this emotion's coming out of us, another person, right? And it's just coming out of us like, and we're like this at the same time, like trying to maintain that at the same, and then we're wondering why the other person's not responding very well. And the reason why they're not responding very well is because, of course, they can feel all of this stuff coming out of us, not that. And of course, that's what their soul is going to be responding to, the feelings that are coming out of us, not what we think we're portraying to them. So when we do that, we're now in this facade, we're now acting. And of course, when you start acting, what do you find? Things don't go as well, generally, as what you would hope. And that's definitely usually the case with most of these situations. Instead, what we need to do is we need to stop for a moment, and even if it meant walking outside and getting to be last in the line again, rather than projecting all of this unloving crap at other people, we need to then feel about why am I so irritated. The way you do it is this. If the emotion that you feel is irritation, then what you do is you sit down and you feel irritated. You don't go, oh, I'm irritated. I can see I'm irritated. You actually sit there and feel irritated. Right? You've removed yourself from the environment so nobody else needs to feel the terrible projections coming out of you, and you're sitting there feeling the feeling. You know that it has to do with an addiction not being met. So what you try to do then is feel the addiction. You don't need to tell yourself about the addiction, you just feel the addiction. The way you feel the addiction is feel irritated as much as you're able, and the addiction will rear its ugly head soon afterwards. If you allow the feeling of the irritation to just be with you, the addiction will become present soon afterwards. Once the addiction is present, you can feel the addiction.
Does anyone know what it means to feel the addiction?
I badly want to be bloody served. So that's feeling the addiction. Does that make sense? I want to be served and you're not serving me in the right time frame. So all this dialogue can be going inside of you while you're sitting outside on the curb, letting yourself feel what's going on. You can feel this, oh, I want to be served. What's going on here? And feel that frustration. Let yourself feel it. Stop telling yourself that you don't have any. Stop telling yourself that everything's fine. Stop telling yourself that you're going to be a nice, loving person while you have all of these emotions coming out of you. Because that's all just fake stuff that needs to be thrown away from your life, really. You need to let yourself feel what's really there.
Yeah. Can I add to that? Yeah. What I've found is that initially there's all the facade, as in I'm not actually angry, or I can talk my way out of this anger by just understanding. So it's facade, and I'm trying to be very nice. So the place that AJ's describing. Then I feel there's another place that we go to where we go, no, I'm angry, and I have a right to be angry because this is wrong, and these are the two places we kind of live in most of our life. We go either, no, I'm not angry, I'm a nice person and anger is bad, or actually I am angry now and I should be able to be angry.
And the other person deserves my anger, they're doing the wrong thing.
Any rational person would see that this is a bad situation and I should be able to be angry. What it's like to actually experience an addiction and release it is to let yourself, as AJ said, really want the thing that you want. So, like, we often relate it to a physical addiction, like coffee or a substance or something, or a food, because it actually does feel, if you've ever craved something that you can't have physically, it feels like a very similar feeling when you can't have an emotional addiction met. It feels like, no, I want you to validate me as a person. I want to feel like a special person. I want you to make me feel safe in this situation. That kind of feeling. That's what it's like to experience the addiction emotionally. It's very painful. You feel like there's a deep need in you that is not being met. And
maybe if we compare it with, like, it's the same process as if, let's say you're addicted to coffee in the morning. You would just sit there with the coffee cup right there, brewed, right? Smelling, all up there, right? So you just sit there and you just look at the coffee cup and feel like how much you want that coffee. And just feel how much you want it without actually taking it. You see?
And this is why I say that dealing with addictions is the biggest work you're going to do on this path, because especially in the West, we have so many addictions. We are totally grown up with the feeling that they're normal and that's normal life and you should be able to get things. And when we don't have, like, we're so adverse to the pain of not having that thing that's why we always put anger on top of the addiction of what happens, because most of us just get angry. And it's actually being brave enough to go through the pain of the anger, because the anger actually, when you're owning the anger, it feels very painful. Like, no, it's a hurting kind of anger. And then there is the feeling of recognizing emotionally, and this is why AJ really stressed the emotional part of it, because many people, when they learn this little flow chart, they go, okay, I'm irritated. What am I afraid of? And then we can tell ourselves a really big story that kind of feels okay for us, of what we might be afraid of, or the grief that something we might have missed out on in our childhood. And it's just a totally intellectual exercise. I've tried it, it totally doesn't work.
And most of the time you come up with the wrong thing.
It's usually completely in the wrong field, ballpark.
Or even in the wrong universe.
Yeah. And it's only been through feeling this feeling of, I really want what I want, and then the pain of, I can't, if I'm going to be loving, I can't get what I want. And that's an emotional place as well. Because intellectually we know at the beginning, I'm angry, okay, I know that's not loving. We know the talk by now, most of us. But getting to an emotional place with this process is firstly feeling the pain of, I want what I want, and then the pain of, if I want God, or if I want to be loving, I can't get this thing that I really want. And once those two things are actually experienced, then we get closer to the fear. Not before then. And that's why it's so important, this bit, I feel. Yeah.
So maybe if I ask you a few questions about your own progress in the last